Okay, so I had to move those videos onto my SD card again. So yeah, I think I was telling you, or you is, and just realized I'm holding my phone in the annoying way in the portrait mode, but, I'm not moving around a lot, so, um, hopefully there won't be those blurry edges that are annoying. Anyway, hey, I was telling you, don't cover the microphone at the bottom of the phone, Allison. Um, yeah, I was telling you about how my dad and my sister came over when my grandmother was dying back in May of 2022, and basically told my mom, not to call a doctor for my grandmother, um, and that they, she just wanted my grandmother just wanted someone to sit with her while she died, which was obviously like, I mean, that's crazy to hear. And they said that they were just conveying, what my grandmother wanted, but like, and that they didn't know her condition, but like, shouldn't they have been alarmed by the fact that like my grandmother thought she was dying? I think that would, warrant at least, a consult with the doctor just to make sure that you're dying. And then if you do die, to like confirm the death, on the death certificate. So I don't know what that was all about. I think I mean, my mom's interpretation is that, my dad and sister were trying to like set her up for murder because they wanted her to go to jail. Um, because I think my father has wanted my mother to be institutionalized. There was one point, I think in 2011 or 2012, he called the police on her, um, and they like took her away to get a psych eval. And like I think my father was hoping that she'd be like admitted to the mental health facility, but they gave her the psych eval, and she was declared not crazy, and and my dad had to go pick her up. I'm sure he hated that because he wanted nothing more than for my mother, I think, to be medicated into just like a stupor, so that he didn't have to deal with her, I guess, whining or whatever about that's my little dog. Say hi, Ella. I don't know. I'm not pointing correctly. Hi, there she is. She's so cute, isn't she? I don't. You can't see her, can you? I'm not a good videographer. Anyway, um, yeah, no, and so my dad had to go pick my mother up from the hospital after she like passed the psych eval. She was declared not crazy, um, which is just like so messed up. I'm sure it made him so mad. So I think that I think it's not out of the question that they at least my dad might have wanted her to have gone to prison for some sort of like involuntary manslaughter or like criminally negligent homicide type thing or something. Um, I've watched a lot of like Law and Order. But yeah, no, this is just my reality. My mom's and my dog's reality. I mean, they're gonna list the house if we don't if we don't furnish with them with proof of that we've like a lease and a signed contract with a mover. Um, then they're just gonna list the house as is on the 20th of this month, September, and or 21st, and there's nothing we can do about that. If we do, then well, I guess we'll have 5 weeks to move out, which I guess that would be nicer. That would be better. And then they wouldn't list the house until October 20th. That's the final move-out date, according to the court order. Um, and yeah, and then we'll have to change our address, which will be super annoying. I'm glad I live in a state that's like friendly to voting. So I think I'll be able to update my address to vote, and so will my mom in the presidential election, which we've been really looking forward to voting in. even though we're not in a state that, like, is pivotal. But it's important to vote, even if you don't live in a state that's pivotal. Yeah. So it just really sucks. And I want desperately for at least, a little bit more time. I know we've had a lot of time according to the court. But, why does the house have to be sold so soon? As long as it gets sold, right? That's all they care about? It had to be so soon. I was just getting my life together and stuff. I was finally able to do dinner at 6 o'clock, which, that's gone down the drain now because of this. It was just super disruptive on Thursday to have them come in like that and tell us all this stuff. It was super traumatizing. My sister thinks I'm traumatized from my mother, but really I'm traumatized from my father, from all of this. He also made me question a lot of things that, like, it was like, do I really know my mom? It's like, of course I do, but he made me question that. I've had trouble in the past. I have at least a prospective diagnosis of Asperger's, or whatever they're calling it now. So, while I'm mostly, like, normal, well-adjusted person, I do occasionally have trouble reading some social cues. So when they left, I thought, and I asked them why they left. They said that they couldn't figure out, or they couldn't describe to me, like, what it was my mom was doing that bothered them. Like, they wished that they could, but that they didn't have the words. And I just don't. That didn't make any sense to me. And they thought I was this, like, superhuman person with, like, superhuman emotional strength, that I was able to, like, live with mom and, like, tolerate that and tolerate her. And I was like, I love mom. Mom is great. She can be really fun sometimes. Actually, a lot of the time. When she's not, like, when her safety isn't being threatened, when her when her money isn't being taken away, and, her earning potential inhibited by my father's own inability to parent. And, I could go more in depth on that in a later video. Oh, and he also said this one weird thing to me. There was this father-daughter thing group. I was part of it, when I was in when I was, as a, younger person, like, basically from when I was 5 to about, like, 19. I think that's when I stopped doing this. But at one point, I was, like, maybe 14, 15, 16. On one of the getaways organized by that group, he told me that he wished it was just me and him. And I was like, yeah, I liked hanging out with you too. And then I realized later that, like, what he really meant was he wanted our family to just be me and him. I think he likes me the most out of, like, my mom, my sister, and myself. But, like, and not wanting to be around my mother or my sister, he estranged me from him. And not wanting to be around my mother, and wanting, I guess, to have more control over my sister, that he didn't have to share with my mother. He was, like, a lazy co-parenter, and I think it was just easier for him to fight for sole custody of my sister and to brainwash her to make that easier than for him to actually co-parent properly with my mother, which is horrifying, and I hate that too. And I think that's also part of why he left. He just didn't he just didn't want to have to co-parent. I told you about him not following doctor's orders about things. Like the tree nuts, and then giving her the caffeine pills. When she was, like, 14 or 15 in the morning, to force her to be awake, so that she would go to school. Which I think is wrong, personally. There's one thing if you do that, if you yourself have a cup of coffee or something, but to give that caffeine pills to a kid, I think that's wrong. And I really hate that he's doing this. And I wanted to stop. I would like, at least some more time, if we get an extension on this time by which we have to provide the lease and the moving agreement, like, by, like, a week or two. Like, otherwise it feels very high pressure. And, like, like, my life is over. Because I just don't know, like, what to do. And, I've lost so much. I've effectively lost my father and my sister. I lost my grandmother. I used to own, I used to own, like, these cute little gerbils, and then my last gerbil died, or, in, I think, August of last year, 2023. And then I also, my laptop stopped working, and, like, I've been using that laptop for 6 years, and, like, I would like I guess a new laptop would be nice, but what I really want is my old laptop to work again. There was a hard drive issue with it, and I tried to fix it, and I think I just lost so much. No more gerbils, no more laptop that's my own. I've been using an older laptop that my mom got refurbished in 2015. So I am grateful to have that. I have to say that. But, like, I just really hate this, and I could say that over and over again. I hate that me and my mom have to go through this, that I might be separated forever from my dog, because I might end up in a homeless shelter, because of all this uncertainty. If we don't get the deadline and we don't get enough money from the sale of the house, or if we don't, at least stop or, pause the sale of the house, I just don't know what I'll do. I think I could really make something of myself, and I was, like, finally getting there, and then all of a sudden these four horsemen of the apocalypse come in. The trustee woman, and then she had, like, three people with her, and it was just so horrible. It was so horrible. And I feel partially responsible for it, but also my dad didn't have to do all that lying. He didn't have to make the divorce agreement so bad. Like, why do I feel like so much of this is, like being laid at my feet when it's really at his? It's just, I could go on and on about how painful it is. But that would bore, people, and it wouldn't be new. And then I just really hate this, and I'm recording this to try and get some sort of justice or help or, stoppage of this. I think is an unjust, unfair court order that my dad has enforced because he couldn't afford the divorce, and he needs the proceeds from his share of the equity. And it's really miserable, and I don't hate money. I know that money is, like, it's not like, it's a thing it was all about the money for him and about his inability to, like, be a person, and it's really sad. And I miss him because my father's, he's, like, smart and he's talented. He can do math, and he can play, like, the guitar and the piano, and he can sing. And anyway, bye. Video size limit almost reached. Thank you for watching. I want this to stop. I love my mom, and I love my sister, my mom, my dad too. I hate this, and I'm gonna go on like this until the capture stops. So, yeah, I just don't like this. It's not fun. No one should have to go through this. No one. No one should have to go through this.